सर सर आप अनम्यूट हैं सर। सॉरी आप म्यूट हैं। सर अभी भी म्यूट हैं सर। एक मिनट, गिव मी 30 सेकेंड्स। अजय सर म्यूट हैं सर।
तो ठीक हो गया।
हाँ अब ठीक हो गया सर। यस सर।
यस
सो बस सर हम
भारद्वाज
स्टार्ट
जी का
करने वाले
स्वागत
हैं।
है। मेडियल सिंह भारद्वाज जी।
DN सिंह जी नमस्कार, कैसे हैं?
मुझे मालूम था
प्यारे मित्र।
तो मैंने कहा कि भारद्वाज जी का बेसब्री से इंतजार हो रहा था।
चलिए अजय
आपका
गो अहेड।
चलिए ठीक है।
So good evening to all the ladies and gentlemen united over here. This is me, Ajay Kumar Gupta, on the behalf of whole team of GSTS, welcomes you all in this 22nd session of Graduate Scholar Talk series, which is an all-new initiative by the Department of History Saksha in accordance with IQAC, that is Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Shyamlal College even. The GSTS committee is currently a 5-member body, consists of Mr. Mudit Bharadwaj, Mr. Saurabh Singh, Mr. Vishesh Kashmi, Ms. Manvi Saraswat, and me myself. This talk series has been started on 7th Feb 2021, and since that it has been carried out with due perseverance and diligence weekly on every Sunday, with a view not only to promote speaking and presenting skills, but also to enhance the high order thinking skills among the students. So before diving directly deep into our main event, let us take the blessings of Goddess of Knowledge, Knowing and Intellect, Ma Saraswati.
श्लोक अर्थ। जो विद्या की देवी भगवती सरस्वती कुंद के फूल, चंद्रमा, हिमराशि और मोती के हार की तरह धवल वर्ण की है, और जो श्वेत वस्त्र धारण करती है, जिनके हाथ में वीणा दंड शोभ्यमान है, जिन्होंने श्वेत कमलों पर आसन ग्रहण किया है, तथा ब्रह्मा, विष्णु एवं शंकर आदि देवताओं द्वारा जो सदा पूजित हैं, वही संपूर्ण जड़ता और अज्ञान को दूर कर देने वाली माँ सरस्वती हमारी रक्षा करें।
Thank you, Ms. Divya Tyagi, for such a soothing voice and for reciting the meaning of the Saraswati Vandana. So, moving ahead, this is the exact time to call our chief invitee of the day, that is Dr. Radha Madhav Bharadwaj, who is an associate professor in Department of History in Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, University of Delhi. He has 30 plus years of teaching experience. He has done his MPhil and PhD from University of Delhi itself. He has published more than 4 books and 12 research papers in national as well as international journals. He has conducted and presented his views in more than 15 seminars and conferences in a nationwide. Also, he possesses a remarkable, when I say remarkable, I literally mean it. He possesses a remarkable understanding on the ancient Indian history as well as the birth tradition in northern as well as in the central India. He has visited more than 6 countries to conduct the intellectual energy, as well as his recent book is on the reinterpreting Indianology and Indian history is a perfect example of what I am telling to you guys. So please bless us and guide us.
Am I to speak now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dear friends, डॉक्टर DN सिंह, मनीष करमवार जी, प्रमोद जी भी हैं। प्रमोद जी,
प्रमोद जी या तो देर से आएंगे सर, और आते
कोई
तो हैं।
बात नहीं, उन तक मेरा सलाम पहुंचा दीजिएगा।
जी सर।
मेरे कोट में पैसा है, लेकिन 2000 का नोट उधर 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 मेरे कोट में वाइट। अभी नहीं, बोल देना उसको, भी मैं लेक्चर में हूँ। प्यारे बच्चों, दिस इज सच ए हार्टनिंग थिंग टू see all this, that your college and this evening session of Shyamlal College and English and history department, which is not even honors तो शायद नहीं है आपके यहाँ DN सिंह जी?
नहीं है सर, नहीं है BA program.
Still, such a big thing is happening that the system of Delhi University and Vice Chancellor and all principals should be happy about it. This is a glorious chapter you people are writing. अभी हिंदू कॉलेज के टीचर हैं शंकर कुमार, उनका फ्रंट लाइन है, परसों एक आर्टिकल छपा है, big, small, big histories. How small events go to make big histories. छोटी छोटी बातों से बड़ा इतिहास बनता है। मनीष जी ने अपने इन बच्चों के टैलेंट को और आगे लाने के लिए वीकली सेमिनार का आयोजन करके 4 चांद लगा दिया है। मैं सच बहुत खुश हूं जब मैंने सुना, और आजकल बता रहा हूं कि इतने सारे रिक्वेस्ट और जूम लिंक्स आ रहे हैं, बम्बार्डमेंट हो रहा है थॉट का, सब जगह अब जाना संभव ही नहीं है। लेकिन जब अर्चना का फोन आया, फिर मैंने मनीष जी को फोन लगाया। I was really overwhelmed to see that you are organizing it on weekly basis and making your students prepare and speak. This way you are transforming their personalities as good personalities, churning out good people from your college, giving good citizens to the country. अच्छे रिसर्चर्स निकलेंगे, देश को अच्छे नागरिक बना के दे रहे हैं। अभी देखिए, मनीष जी के पिताजी का अचानक देहांत हो गया, रांची गए थे, मैंने जब फोन किया तो रांची उठाया, दौड़ के आज दिल्ली में है, और अपने जो इनका ब्रेन चाइल्ड है, जो मानस पुत्र है आप लोगों का, ये वीकली सेमिनार, इसको आप देखना चाह रहे हैं कैसे सफल हो। तो इसी की सफलता को देखने के लिए भी मैं भी बैठा हुआ हूं, एंड आई एम वेरी हैप्पी कि आपने मुझे बुलाया। आई फील ऑनर्ड। ये मेरा टॉपिक है जिसमें मैंने 16 साल में रिसर्च किया, बहुत स्लो किया, धीरे धीरे किया, जो भी किया, बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स जुड़ गए। उसके बाद आज ये मेजर टॉपिक है रिलीजन का। तो आई इनवाइट द स्पीकर, टुडेज स्पीकर, and I want to listen to her. I want to enrich my knowledge of festivals from her. और मैं उसको धन्यवाद भी देता हूं कि मेरे ज्ञान में और आप सबके ज्ञान में बढ़ोतरी होगा, और उसने कैसी तैयारी की है ये भी सुनने का मौका मिलेगा। तो बुलाइए उनको।
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was literally great pleasure to listen such words. I think so कि हमारी टीम बहुत खुश होगी इसको सुन के। Thank you, sir. So now moving ahead and calling our next speaker, that is Rachani Shikarwar, who is a third-year student of Shyamlal College Evening. She'll be telling more about the traditions of festivals and fair in India. But before it, let me give you a quick glimpse so that a kind of connectivity and ease of understanding could be developed. Look, traditions, fairs, and festivals, they have always been the part of Indian society. They are the integral part of Indian society. we have been celebrating all these festivals in ancient India, medieval as well as in the present India. Some came from central Russia, some came from Europe, some came from Middle East. They commemorate in India, and now we celebrate all these, be it Holi, Diwali, Muharram, Christmas, everything, right? But what we see here is that there is a continuity and change in all these festivals and fairs. What is this? Like in ancient India, in the present India, we celebrate the same festivals. This is the continuity. What if we talk about the change? The change is that what we are celebrating today have a bit modification of our new Indian culture. So this is a change in the festivals and fairs that we celebrate today. One very important basic thing behind these festival, fairs, religion, cult is that they all have some very strong rationale behind them. They are not कि बस यूं ही celebrate होते. They have some strong basic behind it. And I strongly believe that all the fairs, festivals, cults, religions, they have always been scientific. We have become superstitious. So with that note, I would call Ms. Chandni Shikarwar to enlighten this talk and to present more her thought on traditions of fairs and festivals in India. Ms. Chandni Shikarwar, the turn is yours and the stage is yours. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Ajay. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And a special thanks to Dr. Radha Madhav sir for their presence. So I'll start. It is very popular to say that the greatness of a culture is found in its festival. And I truly believe in that. Good evening, everyone present here. I, Chandni Sikarwar, student of BA program, third year, History and Pol Science combination. And today I will be talking about the tradition of fairs and festivals in India. Let's have the glimpses on the objective of my topic. Firstly, I will talk about the concept of fairs and festivals in India. Secondly, I will talk about the history of fairs and festivals. Thirdly, I will talk about the impact of globalization on fairs and festivals. And then I will talk about the tourism and fairs and festivals. At last, I will highlight the significance of fairs and festivals. So, can you imagine a life without fairs and festivals? Impossible, right? It's hard to overstate their importance in our lives and the life of a community. They are often reason for bringing the family together, making friends, and celebrate the very spirit of mankind. We are made to spread happiness and to share good times. In a land of cultural and geographical diversities, one gets to enjoy and experience wide variety of cultures, fairs and festivals. And in India is an epitome of such experience. A country where after 100 kilometers you can embrace a new cultural identity. One gets to enjoy diverse backgrounds, beliefs and heritage. These fairs and festivals are part of the intrinsic fabric culture of our society, as well as continuation of our heritage. Fairs and festivals are the spirit of Indian culture. Festivals, whether religious, social or seasonal, have played an important part in the life of Indian people. They provide ample opportunities for enjoyment and change in their daily lives. Religious festivals in honor of various deities have been mentioned in ancient Indian literature. India is a land of fairs. Some of them are religious fairs and others are commercial. When we think about fairs and festivals, the very first things comes in our mind are dressing up very well, delicious dishes, meeting with our relatives and loved ones, right? But have you ever wondered about the existence of fairs and festivals and how these terms fairs and festivals came into use? If not, then I am going to tell you about this. A festival is an event ordinarily celebrated by a community and centering on some aspects of community and its religion and culture. It is often marked as a local or national. A festival constitutes typical cases of globalization as the high and low culture interrelationship. The word fest derives from the Middle French word festives, from the Latin word festivals. Festival was first recorded as a noun in 1589, before it had been used as an adjective from the 14th century, meaning to celebrate a church holiday. The etymology of feast is very similar to that of festivals. The word feast comes from the Middle English from noun circa 1200 and feast was used as a verb circa 1300. A festival is a special occasion of feasting or celebrating that is usually religious. In Vedic ages, during the festival, dramatic spectacles, religious in character, were also organized. In two epics, namely the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, and other works of the latter period, the word Samaj has been used for festivals. The Bhagavad Puran, which gives an interesting description of amphitheaters for wrestlers set by the Kans at Mathura, also refers to a grand festival of bouts celebrated by the kings. The Jatak and Vinay refers to the word Samaj, which was the synonym of festivals. The Samaj is referred to the Vatsyayan in his Kam Sutra as a gathering at the temple of the goddess of learning Saraswati. Kautilya, in one of his passages, told about the Earth Shastra, mentions Utsav, Samaj, and Yatra. The Hathi Gumfa inscription of Kharvel, 2nd century BC, and the Nasik cave inscription of Vasishthiputra, Pulumavi, assignable to the end of the 1st century AD, and the Mandsaur inscription of the year 436 mentions that the king rejoiced the city by organizing gatherings and festivals. The Chinese traveler Hein Sang, who visited India during Harsa's reign, has left an account of a great ceremony which the Emperor Harsa performed every 5 years at Prayag, at the confluence of the river Ganga and Yamuna. Rajsekhar, the court poet at the Pratihar king Mahendrapal of Kannauj, has also described how the victorious kings and their subjects celebrated the festivals of Mahanavami and Diwali with great joy and enthusiasm. The birth of a son in a family was also regarded as a great festive occasion, as is discussed in the Akhyan Kamini Kos of Acharya Nemi Chandra. Some other occasions of society festivity were the naming of a child, the day a child went to his school, the wedding of a anointment of the wedding, the anointment crown prince, the coronation of a new king, victory of a king in the battlefield, etc. Ancient Indian literature, both religious and secular, and inscriptions provide a mine of information about the innumerable socio-religious festivals which were held throughout the year in honor of various gods and goddesses. Trees, mountains, rivers, stupas, etc. In medieval and modern times, Muslim and Christian and other religious festivals become the part of our cultural, reflecting the diverse group of people living in India. Family festivals, national festivals, religious festivals, and festivals, tourism festivals, seasonal festivals, and travel festivals, etc. are the type of festivals. Holi, Diwali, Christmas, Eid, etc. are the very popular festivals of India. Now moving towards the history and the etymology of fairs. A fair is a gathering of people to display or trade produce or other goods, parade or display animals, and often to associated carnival or fun fair entertainment. Activities at fairs vary widely. Some are important showcases for businessmen in agriculture, pastoral, or horticulture because they present opportunities to display and demonstrate the latest machinery of the field. Fairs are also known by many different names around the world, such as agricultural show, carnival, country or state fair, market and show, etc. Sometimes incorporated into a fair. Fair is like spelling of fair, used mostly from 15th to 16th century. This spelling is now confusingly used for both fair and fair, spelled as F-A-R-E, the latter in the sense of food or drink. It itself, the word means a gathering of stalls and amusements for public gathering. The alternate spelling is an old-fashioned affection. in order to remind revelers and participants of medieval fairs and markets. The fairground is an ancient tradition, and many communities have long and dedicated fairgrounds. Others hold them in a variety of public places, including streets and town squares, or even in large private gardens. Fairs are often held in
Miss Chandni,
conjunction.
hello. Sorry for
In
interrupting.
conjunction.
Miss Chandni, kindly off your camera. Your voice is breaking, so kindly off your camera. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Kindly give me a second to fix my internet connection, please.
No problem. You can take. Sorry for the delay, guys. I think so. Chandni might be suffering from some internet connection. She would be right back after just a second. Okay. Just an important thing to tell. You all have your, I would say, Mr. Shubham, can you please stop this presentation? Yeah, we are living in a technological world. This happens, guys, so don't mind it, okay? What I would tell you is that you have the chat box open. You can ask your questions and queries. One of our mediator would be taking them and would be asking on your behalf to our speaker, okay? So chat box is open for all of you guys. If you have any query related to the topic or related to the GSTS as a program as a whole, you could ask that also. There is no restriction on it. Okay, so you can do that. Chat box is open from now to the end also.
Okay, Ajay, let me know when she will join. Okay.
Definitely.
Divya, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
So go ahead, Divya.
Okay, sir. So I'll continue from where she left. The fairground is an ancient tradition, and many communities have long and dedicated fairgrounds. Others hold them in a variety of public places, including streets and town squares, or even in large private gardens. Fairs are often held in conjunction with a significant event, such as the anniversary of a local historic event, a seasonal event such as harvest time, or with a holiday such as Christmas. In Roman times, fairs were holidays on which was an intermission of labor and pleadings. In later centuries, on any special Christian religious occasion, tradesmen would bring and sell their wares, even in the churchyards. Such fairs then continued annually, usually on the feast day of the patron saint to whom the church was dedicated. This custom was kept up until the reign of Henry VI, by which time there were a great many fairs kept on these pastoral festivals. For example, a Westminster on St. Peter's Day at London, and at Durhan on St. Cuthbert's Day. Also in India, Kumbh Mela, held every 12 years at Allahabad, Haridwar, Nasik, Ujjain, is one of the largest fairs where over 60 million people gathered in January 2001, making it the largest gathering anywhere in the world. At free fairs, traders, whether natives of the kingdom or foreigners, were also allowed to enter the kingdom and were under the royal protection while traveling to and returning from the fair. The traders, their agents, and goods were exempt from all duties and imposition, tolls, and servitudes. Merchants going to or coming from the fair could not be arrested or have their goods stopped. Trade fairs, book fairs, religious fairs, agriculture fairs, cattle fairs, traveling carnivals, environmental fairs, automobile fairs, etc. are the different various kinds of fairs. Kumbh Mela, Surajkund Craft Mela, Urz at Ajmer, Sonpur Fair, etc. Now, globalization. Globalization has affected India and Indian culture, from food we eat to clothes we wear to languages we spoke and employment and agriculture in which we are involved. It has brought a tremendous impact upon human civilization. The strategies to cope with the globalization are not sufficient to revolutionize anti-globalization approach. Thankfully, Indian festivals haven't changed a lot as yet, though some influence can be found. Many festivals have gone global though, as a lot of Dasharas, Diwalis, and Ganesh Chaturthis are celebrated abroad by the diaspora. Many locals attend these festivals as well and get to learn about Indian religious events. But here's a change within the country that's quite a surprise. We are celebrating many more international events now, such as Friendship Day, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, even Father's Day and Mother's Day. These events hardly had any relevance in Indian society even a couple of decades back. India is changing and integrating with the world. Many Indian traditions, festivals, performing arts, and ways of life are centuries old. And while these run the risk of backseat in an increasing global space, the internet is also playing a big part in preserving traditions which may otherwise have been forgotten. Tourism has the potential to restore the culture from dying out. From the viewpoint of a tourist, particularly from that of a foreign traveler, a word tantamount with India is culture. Festivals and fairs have been generating a significant amount of tourists and are being recognized as a form of cultural tourism by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, as well as the State Tourism Board, with millions of tourists attending major Indian festivals and fairs each year. The World Tourism Organization.
I think Charlie
Yes.
Shikawar is back with us. Okay, if anything happens again with her, then we'll call you Divya. Okay,
Okay, all right.
Ms. Chandni, you can continue with it. Ms. Chandni,
Yes, yes. Sorry for the interruption.
no problem.
Sorry for the connectivity.
No problem. No problem.
I'll continue from the fairs and festivals and tourism. Tourism is an outer journey in geographical space, primarily for purpose of pleasure seeking. Tourism has the potential to restore the culture from dying out. From the viewpoint of a tourist, particularly from that of a foreign traveler, a word tantamount with India is culture. Festivals and fairs have been generating a significant amount of tourists and are being recognized as a form of cultural tourism by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, as well as the State Tourism Board, with millions of tourists attending major Indian festivals and fairs each year. The World Tourism Organization suggests that more than 40% of all international tourists are cultural tourists. Besides the regular festivals celebrated, which have been enumerated above some, festivals are sponsored by the Department of Tourism. The main objectives of sponsoring is to enhance tourism in a particular area as well as to protect the safeguard of the cultural heritage for which India is so famous in the world. These festivals and fairs are organized in different tourist urban centers of India, scattered all around the various geographic regions. For example, Andhra Pradesh's Deccan Festival, Chandigarh's Rose Festival, Goa's Goa Carnival. The growth of tourists commensurate with India's development scenario. Tourism has registered phenomenal growth with international tourist arrivals, increasing from 3 lakhs in 1971 to more than 25 lakhs in 1991, and substantial growth to above 76 lakhs in 2011. Significance of fairs and festivals. Now I'll talk about the significances. Festivals have an enormous impact on various societies. During a local festival celebrated in a particular city, town, or village, natives of that place, distant locations, avail of the opportunity to return homes and take part in the celebrations. Their affinity at their native places adds to the joy of occasions. From a cultural perspective, celebrations like Rath Yatra provides scope for the exercise of skill by artists, artisans, and local tradesmen to play their role in decorating the temple chariot. crafting wooden and earthen dolls in preparation. Professional singers, dancers, and pipe players form an indispensable cultural part of festivals. Men, women, and children wore new dresses on such occasions. Such weaver earns good income, while the textile trade enjoys bumper business, since two festivals would be complete without assorted sweetmeats. These are nowadays marketed by business houses, which aims at capturing the mass patronage of revelers and earn good profits. Apart from above, people take the opportunity to do spring cleaning of houses and surroundings as an intrinsic part of the religion functions. This is the sanitary part of the religious festivals. In South Indian homes, the practice of decorating main entrance with the mango leaves is followed till today. The mango leaves signify prosperity and are therefore considered to be auspicious. At the end, I will conclude my talk. Fairs and festivals are the part of intrinsic cultural fabric of our society as well as continuation of our heritage. Fairs and festivals promote diversity, increase creativity, offer opportunity for civic pride, improve our general psychological well-being, and make our society a better place to live. People revel in the feeling of friendship, brotherhood, and rivalry, bring harmony, peace, and universal brotherhood. Our civilization ethos have greatly pushed the nation's soft power and cultural influence worldwide. At the end, I would like to say prepare yourself for Eid, Diwali, Christmas, etc. Wear new clothes of kindness and never wear off. Scent yourself with the perfume of love and spread it everywhere. Keep the sweet on the tongue and distribute it by the heart to everyone. Open your arms wide, hug everyone tight. Ego, anger, free your soul with these all. To friends, to relatives, to strangers, gift beautiful feelings to all. Thank you so much for listening. I hope it was worth your time. I I would like to thank everyone and my teachers and the GSTS team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chandni, for this wonderful talk. You very beautifully analyzed and presented to us that how fairs and festivals become the settings in which cultural conservation is experienced throughout our life. The cultural stage presentations, costume displays, and body adornments examine how the fairs and festivals present a public forum in which cultural objects, every single cultural object, produce a different meaning. They describe that how the issue of culture and representation emerge not only within the confines of the museum, but also in those self-conscious anti-museum settings called folk fairs and festivals. You also brought to our listeners the interconnection between social and political structure and the histories that constitute a sense of national identity across the local and regional affiliations. How cultural representations of ethnic groups and how fairs and festivals legitimize the process of cultural conservation and enact and extend those cultures to the formation of identity of a nation is truly very remarkable. So I thank you once again, Ms. Chandni, and we are really very sorry for the inconvenience due to the network glitches. So now, without wasting any further time, let us move to some of the questions. So the first question is from Mr. Anand Joshi. He's asking that you talked about fairs in your talk. Could you please tell us about the common rituals of the fairs and their importance? Ms. Chandni.
Yes, yes.
Chandni, you are free to speak in English or Hindi, any language.
Okay, fine. So I would like to say that people believe that the deity is capable of showering blessings on them. They therefore promises to offer to her with various motives and on fulfillments of their desires. They make the offerings. On the occasions, fairs, stalls of utensils, saris, blouse pieces, and cloths, etc., are opened at the fair. Both Hindu and Muslim participates in the fairs. Offerings of the deity is also the common thing. Woe to the deity is also the common thing. Nailing the iron rod into the trees, etc.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shavni. Now, another question is from Mr. Shubham Tiwari. He's asking that as everything has its pros and cons, there are some bad effects of the festivals and fairs on the environment. He's asking you to please elaborate that.
Yes, everything has its negative impacts. But for that, you cannot blame fairs and festivals. This is us, human being who pollutes environment by burning crackers, throwing plastic things in open places, etc. Nowadays, drinking and eating has become the new trend of celebration. So there is no fault of fairs and festivals. This is only us human beings who pollutes environment. For this, we can use green crackers and can also adopt environment friendly behavior for the stop of this.
Okay, Ms. Shavni. The last question is from Mr. Sanskar. He's asking that can public life be compromised for fairs and festivals like the Kumbh Mela and Rath Yatra, which took during this extreme COVID situations? So, what are your views regarding that? Ms. Shavni?
Okay, I think so. There are some technical glitches. I think so because the weather today is not quite good in Western UP, to be honest. So, yes, Chandni, are you audible? Or am I audible to you? Can you give the answer of it if the technicalities are okay from your side? Okay, it's all right. There is no issue with it. I think so. The technical problem is there. No issue with it. So, okay, so we should move ahead with our program. So now it's time to call the next speaker, or I would say the speaker of the next Sunday, Mr. Sanskar Sihoria, who is the student of first year from the college, Dayal Singh College. He'll be telling about his topic, or in short, he will be briefing about his topic, what is his topic, and what he will be presenting the next Sunday. So, Mr. Sanskar, please, the stage is yours. Tell our audience that what you would be speaking the next Sunday.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay. Very good evening, one and all. I, Sanskar Sihoria, and next week I'm going to speak on Indian foreign policies. Telling about the glimpse of my topic, in Indian foreign policies, I'll be telling you about the historical background of our foreign policies, that how it has evolved since our independence, particularly mentioning about the Jawaharlal Nehru period, that is the non-alignment movement, and then moving forward towards the Aike Gujral Doctrine, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee reign, and then coming towards the Manmohan Singh reign, and special focus on the Mr. Prime Minister Modi's reign, the present reign, and how his foreign policies has been since 2014. That will be my major focus. Then coming to the present situation, I'll be talking about the Indo-China relationship. That you all see that how the Indo-China relationship are going on, and what are its implications, and how Chinese aggression can be handled, and that especially the Indo-Pacific region and all. Then the particular answer to Chinese aggression, that is the Quad alliance of USA, India, Japan, and Australia. I'll be telling you about that Quad alliance and what are its implications of with Indian relationship with the other nations. And in that only, I'll be talking about the India-Russia relationship, that how Quad can affect the India-Russia relationship, and what is the stance of Russia on this particular alliance, And then going towards the India and the West Asia relationship, and in West Asia, especially the Middle Eastern part, that is the Gulf countries, that what are the factors that we need to keep in mind while dealing with all these countries, and what are the hindrances that can affect the development of ties between India and the West Asia countries, and also the regional rivalry of that particular region, that how India, what is the stance of India on the particular regional rivalries of the West Asia. Then completing with the West Asia, I'll come back to the Indian subcontinental region, and how's the relationship with India in this particular subcontinent, and especially after the second, especially in this second reign of Mr. Narendra Modi after 2019, how is the relationship with Nepal, how's the relationship with Sri Lanka and then Bangladesh, Because talking about Pakistan is not of a greater sense, because we all know how is the relationship with Pakistan. They are not at all a good ties since Prime Minister Modi's terms. Then I'll be talking about this only: Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. And then completing with this, I'll go towards the way forward. That what can be done further? What is the future scope of these relationships? And talk about the Indian subcontinental region, that how India can emerge as a superpower in this particular subcontinental region. And then going towards the Western world, that how's the relationship with the Western world and what is the future scope of it. So this is all going to be a detailed speech, and I'll be talking about it in all detail next week. So I hope that you all will catch me up, and you all will listen to me with greater enthusiasm. Thank you.
I hope so, Sanskar. Like, international relationship is my personal favorite, and I think you would be talking about India's foreign policies in a nutshell, right? So it would be like very thrilled to listen it. We would definitely be there to listen to the topic. So moving ahead, now I would like to call Dr. Radha Madhav Bharadwaj again to give some views regarding our whole program GSTS and what he thinks. So please, can you brief us in 2 minutes, sir? It would be a humblest thing that you could do for us.
No time limit, sir. Kindly go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir.
No
You
time.
can go ahead, sir. No time.
Thank you, Dr. Manish. I must place on record my sincere thanks and congratulations to the speaker girl, Chandni, for covering so many aspects related to festival. For a brief presentation of 20 minutes or so, her collection of data and her presentation was quite enthusiastic and exhilarating. But when she advances into MA and her higher research, then she will have to bifurcate the study of festivals from this kind of hybrid and mixed aspect that she has presented today: Hindu festivals, Christian festivals, Islamic festivals, all kind of festivals. I mean, this is possible here to talk of the nature of festivals and the functioning of festivals in a generic way here to start with. Quite okay, because your age students are not even ready to speak out at any given platforms. This is a tough thing, a kind of wrestling. ये पहलवानी से कम नहीं है. बड़े बड़े पहलवान आके पब्लिक स्पीकिंग नहीं कर पाते हैं. So this is good that you have spoken well, you have collected many facts, and you have also tackled some of the queries from the students. But when you graduate and you progress into MA and higher research, then you will have to choose between and different countries' festivals. Like you started with the etymology of festivals from Europe. I must tell you, India has had a great and longer tradition of festivals in the form of vratas and utsavas. You haven't even understood or tried to link what vrat and what utsav is. Most of the utsavas today are religious utsavas, religious festivals, and they have an element of vrat attached with them. From about 7th, 6th century BC, when whole Europe was almost kind of, barbaric, only light of knowledge was burning there in Greece and Greek city-states. There were 1500 city-states. 1500, kindly mind it. And only about 20 or 25 islands, including Athens and Anatolia, some part of Anatolia, were enlightened. All Europe was barbaric. That time, in some scriptures like Vishnu Smriti and Grih Sutras and Dharma Sutras, we see traces of festivals emerging in the form of vratas. First, dates were sanctified. दिनों को पुण्यकारी दिन बनाया गया. Today, all 365 days are festive days. All are sacred days. It all began with worshipping different Hindu gods and goddesses, and dates were assigned for their either birth or for their worshipping. उनकी पूजा पाठ के लिए, उनको सम्मान देने के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट डेट्स को सैंक्टिफाई किया गया. आज हर गॉड गॉडेस का जन्मदिन या फेस्टिवल या ऑनर, it falls on some sacred day or the other. So when you delve deeper into it, then you will have to realize that the ancient Indian tradition of festivals has a deeper and greater root. No country in the world has devoted so much time and words and sentences to festivals than India. किसी देश में festivals हर देश में हैं, fairs हर देश में हैं, but systematic study of festivals and vratas and fairs, this was possible in India only. केवल एक बात आ रहा हूं, in Puranas only, P.V. Kande, the Vice Chancellor of Bombay University, he was an advocate of Bombay High Court, but Government of India bestowed on him the Vice Chancellorship of Bombay University. Mahamahopādhyay Dr. Sir P.V. Kande. फेस्टिवल पर, व्रत पर उनसे ज्यादा बड़ा स्कॉलर धरती पे कोई नहीं. He said 25,000 verses, 25,000 श्लोक हैं केवल व्रत और उत्सव पे, केवल पुराण में. महाभारत और रामायण को छोड़ दो, किसी ने दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में रामायण पर, महाभारत में व्रत के और उत्सव के ऊपर में, फेयर्स के ऊपर में नहीं किया है काम. मैंने कितनी बार हेड डिपार्टमेंट को कहा किसी को करवाइए मेरे अंडर में, मुझे खुशी होगी करने में. एटलीस्ट 40,000 वर्सेस आर देयर ऑन फेस्टिवल्स. किसी देश के इतिहास में फेस्टिवल्स को इतना रेस्पेक्ट नहीं दिया गया जितना भारत में दिया गया है, बिकॉज ये सारे के सारे जो फेस्टिवल्स हैं वो बड़े महत्वपूर्ण चीज हैं. और आज देखिए, for 2,500 years or at least 2,000 years, they still continue in the same form or the other. जितने भी फेस्टिवल्स आज मनाए जाते हैं, particularly religious festivals, they still carry the original ritualistic practices and mantras. आज भी 2000 साल पुराने मंत्र और पूजा की विधि you can see for anthropologists, for sociologists, for archaeologists, for historians. ये वंडरफुल चीज है. द प्रीस्टली क्लास ने उसको बचा कर रखा हुआ है. जो भी प्रीस्ट हो उसने बचा कर, सेम मंत्र, सेम विधि, सेम मेथोडोलॉजी टू वर्शिप द गॉड. ये बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. तो क्या क्या मैंने कहा, जब आप हायर रिसर्च में जाएंगे तब आपको एक देश के फेस्टिवल को चुनना चाहिए, क्योंकि आपको सबसे ज्यादा मटेरियल मिलेगा रिसर्च करने के लिए. एंशिएंट इंडियन फेस्टिव ट्रेडिशन में 25,000 वर्सेस पुराणों में है. रामायण महाभारत को मिला देंगे तो शायद 40,000 हो जाएगा. इतना दुनिया के इतिहास में कहीं. Another thing, festivals today are the most obvious forms of religion. मैं वो जो फेस्टिवल अभी 10-20 साल पहले आया है, जब मैं पढ़ने आया था उस समय ये फेस्टिवल है, रोज डे, हग डे और एक और वैलेंटाइन डे, ये सब इंडिया में नहीं था. 82 में मैं दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ने आया, उसमें नहीं था. वो फेस्टिवल किस तरह के हैं पता नहीं, उस पर कोई लिटरेचर नहीं मिलेगा आपको कहीं पर. बट वट एवर festivals I am talking about, सबका डीप हिस्ट्री है, लिटरेरी एंड इंस्क्रिप्शनल, अभिलेखीय प्रमाण है उसका। Hundreds and thousands of land grant inscriptions were given on festive days. व्रत और उत्सव के दिन पूर्णकारी समझकर किंग्स ने, फ्यूडल लॉर्ड्स ने, रिच पीपल एंड बिजनेस कम्युनिटी के लोगों ने पुण्य कमाने के लिए, ईश्वर को आदर करने के लिए तीर्थों पर, नदियों के किनारे भूमि दान दिया है, लैंड ग्रांट दिया है, हाउस दान दिया है। ये एस्पेक्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। ऑन फेस्टिवल्स वेर यूज्ड फॉर एक्विजिशन ऑफ रिलीजियस मेरिट एंड इन रिटर्न यू आर, जो पूजा करवाने वाले लोग हैं, पूजा करवाने वाले लोग गृहस्थ लोग हैं जिनके पास धन है, पुण्य कमाना चाहते हैं, उन्होंने बहुत सारी चीजें दान दी हैं। इस प्रकार का दान, मैं 2015 में पेरिस गया था, तो पेरिस, ये आर एस शर्मा को ही पता नहीं है, फ्यूडलिज्म पे उनका बहुत बड़ा काम है, उन्होंने व्रत के बारे में, फेस्टिवल के बारे में नहीं देखा है। व्रत के दिन बच्चों, अच्छे बच्चों, श्यामलाल कॉलेज के इंटेलिजेंट बच्चों, आपने मुझे बुलाया इसलिए मैं बता दूंगा आपको कि व्रत और उत्सव के दिन, हर उत्सव में उसका पेट में व्रत घुसा हुआ है। सुन लीजिए, आप दिवाली करेंगे, आप तो बड़े हैं, पटाखे छोड़ेंगे, होली करेंगे, रंग खेलेंगे, बट उसके बीच में एक व्रत का एलिमेंट भी है। कोई कोई उसमें, आपकी मम्मी, चाची, पिताजी कोई व्रत रखते हैं, उपवास रखते हैं, खाना नहीं खाते हैं, एक खास ड्यूटी की पूजा करते हैं, आपके लिए छोड़ते हैं, आप खेलिए, आप बड़े हो जाएगा तो कीजिएगा। सो पीवी काणे कहते हैं द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन व्रत एंड उत्सव इज वेरी थिन। In 99% of ancient Indian festivals वो व्रत से ही जुड़ा हुआ है, और उसपे 25,000 वर्सेस हैं, और उन पे किंग्स ने लैंड ग्रांट दिया है, लैंड ग्रांट्स। और ये लैंड ग्रांट्स कम से कम मैं 2nd सेंचुरी BC से देख रहा हूँ। आर्य शर्मा को ये बात पता होनी चाहिए, ये नहीं पता, मुझे नहीं पता, वो मर गए, उनको एक बार मैंने कान में कहा था, DN झा भी मर गए, उनके भी कान में कहा, श्रीमाली जी को भी मैं कह चुका हूँ, लेकिन वो लोग अपने आइडियोलॉजी से बज करने वाले नहीं हैं, दे आर मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस। मैं सत्य को पूजा करता हूं। मैंने कहा कि कलयुग संकट को टैकल करने के लिए लैंड ग्रांट नहीं दिया गया, पुण्य कमाने के लिए लैंड ग्रांट दिया गया है। 200 लैंड ग्रांट्स मेरे पास ऐसे बच्चों जो उत्सव के दिन, व्रत और उत्सव के दिन दिया है किंग्स ने। सो मेरा एक ये भी प्रोपोजिशन है कि व्रत और उत्सव का जो फंक्शन है सोसाइटी में, वो इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है कि अर्ली मेडिवल हिस्टोरियोग्राफी में जो दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी के सबसे बड़े विद्वान आर्य शर्मा, उनके शिष्य BNS यादव, उनके शिष्य DN झा, KM शिमाली, सारे विद्वान लोग लगे हुए हैं कि भूमिदान से फ्यूडलिज्म आया। फ्यूडलिज्म 4th 5th सेंचुरी AD के बाद वो कह रहे हैं, मैं 2nd सेंचुरी BC में ही लैंड ग्रांट की बात कर रहा हूं, जब मासोपवास व्रत नाम का एक फेस्टिवल, 1 महीने का फेस्टिवल, नाणे घाट इंस्क्रिप्शन में नागनिका नाम की महारानी ने किया था। मनीष जी जानते होंगे, नयनिका भी इनको कहते हैं, नागनिका भी कहते हैं। ये वंडरफुल हिस्ट्री का पार्ट है। अपने हस्बैंड को फोर्स कर दिया कि मैं एक व्रत करूंगी, 1 महीना तक व्रत किया, और उसके बाद उसने सोना चांदी और गोदान वगैरह सब कुछ किया। उसमें एक लाइन एक गांव के दान का भी आता है बच्चों, मेरे पास वो इंस्क्रिप्शन, वो इंस्क्रिप्शन है, नाना घाट इंस्क्रिप्शन, बहुत वर्ल्ड में फेमस, में आप डालेंगे गूगल पे आ जाएगा। नाणे घाट इंस्क्रिप्शन में 99% गिफ्ट्स उस महारानी ने आम जनता को खिलाया, सोना चांदी दिया, गाय और भैंस दिया, सब कुछ दिया, लैंड भी दिया। और ये 3rd 4th सेंचुरी AD में जो आर्य शर्मा कहते हैं कि कलयुग संकट से निपटने के लिए भूमिदान दिया, नहीं, उससे पहले लैंड ग्रांट शुरू हो चुका है। और मेरा कहना है, क्योंकि मैंने रिसर्च किया, 400 से लेकर 1200 जो अर्ली मेडिवल पीरियड कहते हैं, उसमें कम से कम 220 इंस्क्रिप्शंस, अभिलेख मैंने निकाले हैं। जो भूमिदान दिए गए हैं वो कलयुग संकट को टैकल करने के लिए नहीं दिए गए हैं, पुण्य कमाने के लिए दिए गए हैं। सो व्रताज और सभाज आर वेरी पावरफुल इंस्टीट्यूशंस, ये देखिए। और सबसे बड़ी बात, उतना ज्यादा तो मनीष जी फिर बुलाएंगे नहीं दोबारा, क्योंकि इतना समय ले लूंगा प्यारे बच्चों का, 18 साल 20 साल के बच्चों का। मैं ये भी कहता हूं, एक पेपर मेरा ये शिक्षा का, उसमें मैंने फेयर्स पर भी थोड़ा सा हल्का सा हिंट किया है, क्योंकि मैंने ब्रिटिश जमाने के गजेटियर्स को देखा है। जब डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन हो रहा था बच्चों, डीएन सिंह जी हैं कि चलेगा क्लास इसमें से, डीएन सिंह जी चलेगा हम लोग को छोड़कर कि हैं? डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, हाँ डॉक्टर डीएन सिंह आप लोग विद्वान हैं। डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, हमारे हिस्टोरियंस कहते हैं कि ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी की इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी से डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन हुआ इंडिया में, भारत के व्यापार उद्योग का नाश कर दिया, सो दैट ब्रिटिश मैन्युफैक्चर्ड गुड्स could come to India, they could sell their goods in India, इसलिए भारत को गुलाम बनाया था। मेरा कहना है कि during the time of British period, when they were looting our economy, they bled us white. In that time, festivals played a great supporting role in the form of fairs. Hundreds, thousands and lakhs of fairs took place on religious occasions. धार्मिक उत्सव के दिन बड़े बड़े उत्सव हमारे पूरे हिंदुस्तान में हुए। जो आज का हिंदुस्तान, आज का पाकिस्तान, आज का बांग्लादेश, इस सब को मिलाकर आप देख लीजिए, सब में फेस्टिवल्स रहते। एंड this played a great role, this gave a great opportunity to our trading class, business class को अपने सामान को बेचने का मौका दिया। यहां अंग्रेजों की दखल नहीं थी बच्चों। सो डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, अंग्रेजों ने बहुत कोशिश की, बंगाल से लेकर पूरे भारत में लूट मचा दिया, लेकिन फेस्टिवल्स के ओकेजन पे lakhs and lakhs of fairs took place, which gave ample opportunities for our traders and manufacturers to come to the site of fair. पूरे भारत का ट्रेडिंग क्लास वहां पहुंच रहा था। मान लीजिए कोई शिवरात्रि हो रहा है या हाजीपुर का मेला लग रहा है। ये हाजीपुर का मेला केवल एक मेला नहीं है, उसकी जड़ में कई फेस्टिवल्स हैं बच्चों। गंगा दशहरा, जैसे कुंभ में 5 फेस्टिवल आते हैं, 1.5 महीना चलता है कुंभ। सुन लीजिए, 5 करोड़ पीपल अटेंडेड, 5 बिलियन रुपीस का, 5 अरब रुपए का व्यापार होता है वहां पर। सुन लीजिए, ड्यूरिंग द ब्रिटिश पीरियड व्हेन ब्रिटिशर्स वेयर ऑल आउट टू इम्पोज द इकोनॉमिक सैंक्शंस ऑन इंडिया, हम अपने सामान को यूरोप में नहीं बेच सकते थे। रिलीजियस फेस्टिवल्स एंड फेयर्स सपोर्टेड आवर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड ट्रेडिंग कम्युनिटी। इसके मौके पर हमारे देश के व्यापारी सोना चांदी से लेकर कपड़े तक सब कुछ बनाते थे, उसको बेचते थे, एंड दे कुड सस्टेन देमसेल्व्स। सो आज भी there are at least 10-15 religious festivals which gives ample opportunity for our business committees ने सोना चांदी खूब। तो वैशाख शुक्ल तृतीया का दिन है, आप पता कर लीजिए कौन सा दिन है वो वैशाख शुक्ल तृतीया का, जिस दिन सोना चांदी खूब खरीदते हैं लोग। तो $1 बिलियन का बिजनेस देता है रिलीजियस फेस्टिवल्स एंड फेयर्स बच्चों। तो बहुत ज्यादा बातें नहीं करूंगा, नहीं तो मनीष जी फिर नाराज हो जाएंगे, बुलाएंगे नहीं। ऑलरेडी बहुत ज्ञान की चीजें, बहुत सुखी चीजें होती हैं, वेरी ड्राइव काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स। कहा गया है कठोपनिषद में, द शार्प एज ऑफ ए रेजर इज डिफिकल्ट टू पास ओवर, thus the wise say the path to knowledge is hard। जैसे हम लोग शेविंग करते हैं तो हर दिन कट जाता है, खून निकलना होता है, वैसे ही ज्ञान का जो मार्ग है बड़ा कठिन है। बैठना, किसी को सुनने के लिए बैठना बहुत कठिन है बच्चों। सो थैंक यू वेरी मच। I just request you, when you grow up, you put yourself in higher research, then you divide the subject into, so that you could study it very minutely। तुमको पढ़ने के लिए, रिसर्च करने के लिए काफी मटेरियल मिले और एक क्रिटिकल स्टडी तुम दे सको उसको। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी। डॉक्टर डीएन सिंह जी नमस्कार, मनीष जी नमस्कार, and affection, kind affection to all our students and children. Thank you very much.
ठीक सर, और बात करेंगे. Okay sir,
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, it was really like astonishing as well as shocking to know about the feudal grants, especially, sir, that you talked about in second BC. Like we, as a student of their university, we have been reading the R.S. Sharma from past, the ages, I would say. So in that, we only know that feudal systems start from that century, but you gave a different idea. It was really astonishing to see. Thank you, sir, for all of you, as well as you told about the socio-economic condition of the Kumbh also, economic as well condition of the Kumbh. So it was great experience, sir. Thank you for being here. Thanks a lot. So in the end, to conclude our whole program, I would like to call Ms. Archana Bharti. She will be giving the vote of thanks to everybody. So Ms. Archana Bharti, come and conclude the whole program.
Now may I leave kindly? Am I permitted to leave?
2 minutes. Sure, sir.
2
Why not,
minutes.
sir?
Huh?
2 minutes, sir. 2 minutes.
Okay. Fine.
Yes, sir, 2 more minutes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Annie Besant
Archana Bharti.
rightly said, yes, Annie Besant rightly said, India is a country in which every great religion finds a home, and the things that connect these religions, cultures, and people of our incredible India in one thread are fairs and festivals. A country where after every 100 kilometers you are embraced by a new cultural identity. One gets to enjoy diverse backgrounds, beliefs, and heritage. These fairs and festivals are a part of the intrinsic cultural fabric of a society, as well as a continuation of our heritage. Good evening, everyone. As you may know, Department of History achieved new heights in the session 2016-17 under the convenership of Dr. D.N. Singh, Dr. Pramod Kumar sir, Dr. Manish Karma sir, Dr. Seema Meena ma'am, and Mr. Ajay Kumar sir. This was the first time when the department formed the History Society, Sakshya. The current office bearers of the year 2020-21 are Mr. Ankit as President, Ms. Mondara Paul as Vice President, Mr. Shubham Tiwari as Secretary, Ms. Preeti Rai as Joint Secretary, and Ms. Chandni Sikarwar as Treasurer. I, Archana Bharti, student of BA program English plus History and a member of Sakshya, deem it to be a great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank our guest of honor, Dr. Radha Madhav Bharadwaj. Thank you so much, sir, for your thoughtful and informative insight. I would also like to thank all the teachers that joined us today. Dr. Dharma Rawat ma'am, Dr. Seema Meena ma'am, Mr. Ajay Kumar sir, and Dr. Anil Singh sir. I would like to express my gratitude to convener Dr. D.N. Singh for gracing us with his presence in this program. I would like to give my thanks to GSTS team and Sakshya team who worked hard to conduct the program successfully. And honest thanks to our Sikarwar for giving such an exceptional talk on the cultural legacy of India found in fairs and festivals. I would also like to thank Ms. Divya Tyagi, Ms. Sikarwar's backup speaker, for supporting her. Thank you so much. I wholeheartedly thank all the students for joining us today. Thank you so much for being with us. We will meet next Sunday with another splendid talk on the topic India's foreign policy by Mr. Sanskar Sihoria. Till then, stay safe and stay at home. Thank you once again for your cooperation and support. Thank you.